So welcome to everyone to the webinar, Social Enterprise and Coping Strategies During Crisis. This is our title of the webinar. It seems the first webinar of CEFEC and 34 years old, let's say, because this year we celebrate the 34 years anniversary. And my name is Vasi Gafiuk, and I'm the General Secretary of Social Firms Europe CEFEC, and one of your moderators from today. I'm not alone, as you already see. We have another two moderators with great support from my colleague Felicitas Cresimon, which is the Development Manager of Social Firms Europe CEFEC, and of course with support of our dearest President, Christiane Herlin, current President for CEFEC. We have people registered from many countries. I was accounted yesterday, it was like 16 countries. So hello from everybody from the north part, from Sweden till the south to Greece, from the west part to the eastern part to Republic of Moldova. I see they are online, and I think we can start. We have some rules. In order to have a good event, we ask you, everyone that will participate, to take into consideration the following aspects. If you are not a speaker, please close down your video and mute your microphone. If you want to address questions for speakers, please type them on chat function, and we will answer on the end of the session. Of course, on the end of this session, we have open questions too. The conference will be also streamed live on our Facebook page, Social Firms Europe, so you can share the link among your peers, and the event will be recorded with your permission. As I mentioned already, today I will not moderate alone, but together with Felicitas, and she's based in Trieste right now, from Italy, and I'll give the floor to Felicitas.
Okay. Thank you, Vasi, and hello to everyone. So I will introduce into the contents of these meetings. We choose this subject because we think, yes, this period of crisis is very interesting and gives a lot of problems, but also input, especially to our world of social economy and subjects, organizations which are working hard on the inclusion of people from vulnerable groups. And as we saw in other crises before, especially in for example, the financial crisis in 2008, 2009, social economy organizations are considered organizations which are very good in coping crisis, better perhaps than other organizations or enterprises sometimes. Even if we see also in this crisis that there are two different points, there is aspects, there is on the balance. I think a lot of social enterprises are living a very hard situation because they don't have economical and political support. On the other side, there were a lot of enterprises which developed coping strategies and used this moment to enhance opportunities they were just working on. So today we wanted to highlight in some of these aspects and see from different points of view, from social cooperatives which are working in the circular or green economy, or who is working on the digitalization tools. And we have also Luigi Martignetti with us from Revs Network. We will anticipate his intervention because he has to leave us early. So first of all, I want to introduce you Pino Rosati. He is the president and the art director of a social cooperative here from Trieste, who has been at Trieste last year in our conference, had the opportunity to see maybe his place. The social cooperative Lister, which is a social cooperative type B, which has been founded in 2009 and has born from at Trieste from the Franco in the park of the ex-mental hospital, which was closed with Franco Basaglia. Lister has a specialty that they are working to work inclusion of vulnerable groups, but they are combining this also with recycling and green economy aspects, and especially during this period of COVID, they recycled their model of producing and starting to produce masks, as a lot I saw in other webinars as other enterprises, but I think it's very interesting, but because they did it in cooperation with other enterprises. And I want to give the floor now to Pino to tell us and show us what they did in this period. To you the floor, Pino.
I start with a slide.
We can see your screen. That's good.
Okay.
Now try the full screen.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, we can see it.
Lister Sartoria Sociale, Social Tailoring, the social cooperative from Trieste, Italy, which deals with the collection transformation of reused textile materials aimed at the realization of clothing accessories. Cooperation between cooperatives. The application of this principle for us, Lister Sartoria Sociale, made the difference between the risk of shutdown and instead the relaunch of our activities. Thanks to a project launched at national level by the Quit Cooperative of Verona, we have become part of a pool of social cooperatives in our region engaged in the production of masks for contrasting and containing the spread of coronavirus. Thanks therefore to Lega Coop, Friuli Venezia Giulia, to COSM Consortium for Mental Health Cooperatives, and thanks also to the social cooperatives Non-Sello and the social cooperative participation, who offered us support and collaboration in this project. It was possible to recall all the workers from their working layoffs. We could again experiment that it's true. No one saves themselves. The mask produced, still on sale, is accompanied by a sheet which, in addition to the indication for use and washing, describe the aims of the project in the following way. We have decided to produce this protection mask starting from our desire to be useful and to do something important for the community, with the community, involving vulnerable people in the production process. Our goals are the social and environmental sustainability. This is our dream, to be a local social enterprise involved in facing and managing the opportunities and difficulties of our globalized reality. We are proposing a widespread production model in order to return protagonism, and subjectivity to the territory, global, social, local. Può partire il video?
You want a video, Pino?
Yes.
Could you start his video?
Just a second, before Ionuț is doing the video, I will say something more about Lister. They are the winner, one of the winner of our CEFEC award. It was on 2018. And thank you very much, Pino. We visited last year your shop and your enterprise on the Franco Basaglia ex-hospital. And it was impressive how you really adapt to the current situation. As you already find out from the program, we intend to present you some aspects about coronavirus crisis, and we have to admit that this pandemic affects all of us as an individual or a professional activity or our business. But you will find out today that this model of business called social enterprises and promoted by Social Firms Europe CEFEC since 1987 in Europe, which find always innovative way to keep going on. So this is one Lister, and thank you for this really good model. Now Ionuț will show a very short film that you sent to us. Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you in the meantime to Ionuț Burak, which is our ICT technician, and a special thanks to Tudor Mihai from Innovation Society, one of our co-hosts from Transylvania, we can say, from Cluj. He's already here and support us. Thank you to Claudiu Mahalu, another colleague based in another building in order to keep going the conference. Okay, this is the film, yes? No problem, I will introduce okay, just presenting this ICT support that the technology offers us, and Felicitas, she lost the connection. But anyway, we are 3 moderators, so anytime we can go on. So thank you again, Pino. The next speaker is one of our good friend, very good friend and long-term friend, Luigi Martinetti from Lega Coop Sociali. I know he has to go to run between different commission working groups on the European Commission, so I will give the floor to him, but not before to make a very short introduction about him. So as Felicitas present, he's one the representative from REVS, one of our close network to work with. But also Luigi Martinetti is the Secretary General of the European Network of Cities and Regions for the Social Economy, REVS. REVS is the unique EU network that brings together regional and local public authorities in partnership with respective social economy organizations. And for more than 25 years, REVS seeks collaboration with EU institutions in order to improve the ecosystem for social, sustainable, and responsible local economies. REVS was a founding member of Social Economy Europe. For us, REVS is also our porta-voice, we can say, our stakeholder on the European Commission to support the interest of our members as well, because Luigi is also involved on the executive of Lega Coop Sociali, one of our members. So Luigi, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Vasi. Thank you everybody for inviting me. And I apologize for this change in the program, but unfortunately I will have to leave at 3 o'clock, and but I will still have, I would like to have time in case there are questions or issues. I'm taking the floor on my capacity as the Secretary General of European Network of Cities and Regions for Social Economy, as Vasi said. That is a network that was created in 1996. I saw that there is someone from Östersund in Sweden, and actually the network was created in Östersund. It's a European network that was created in Östersund 24 years ago. One of our main tasks, as Vasi was saying, is to promote the partnership between public authorities and social economic organizations in front of the European institutions, namely the European Commission, but not only. And for this reason, we have been also participating into the creation of Social Economy Europe. Now, what I was asked was to give some hints about what is going to happen to social economy enterprises. I will always say use social economy enterprises, if you don't mind, or social economy, because from our point of view, social enterprises belong to the social economy family. So we use it as synonyms, more or less. Probably I will disappoint a bit you, because I'm not sure I will be able to provide you with good news from the European point of view. We are closely following what is happening, and still today, at the same time when we are taking the floor, Ursula von der Leyen is going to present the program, the recovery program, to the Parliament. But at this day, we still don't know exactly what is going to happen with social economy and with social enterprises. Maybe it's useful if we take a step back and we remind where we were before the coronavirus crisis started. You might know that in December last year, Ursula von der Leyen made a mission statement to Commissioner Nicola Schmid, in which promotion of social economy enterprises action plan was included. And it was included with a caveat that was in order to promote social innovation. That was good, because it was, in any case, was the first time we had social economy enterprises officially quoted in the mission statement by the European Commission. But on the other side, we were not totally happy by the fact that it was linked, strictly linked with social innovation. Because what we were arguing is in a case like the one we saw, the presentation from Pino Rosati, we could not say that that one was social innovation, but was needed intervention. So we wouldn't like to have promotion of social economy and social economy enterprises only in as far as they produce social innovation. They might also produce something very traditional like masks. The point is, how do you produce them? But I think that one of the consequences of this crisis was also that for a little time, it looked like the Commission realized that social economy is not only there for social innovation. Social economy is there in order to promote and support the development of another kind of society, a kind of society that is inclusive, that is sustainable, that is responsible, etc. And once again, the social economy has been showing during this crisis that this is the main role of social economy organizations. Just to tell you, on 23rd, 24th of April, there was a letter sent by Commissioner Schmidt to some governments in which it was underlined that it was needed more than ever to have an action plan for social economy, because this player has been playing an important role during the crisis and should play an important role during the recovery. Now, what is the point is that up until now, what we have are declarations, but we don't have any concrete. We know which are the measures that were taken by the European Commission, like the loosening of the state aid rules, of which social economy enterprises can also benefit. There was the loosening of the public procurement rules as well in many countries. Also in this case is something that could be of use for social economy enterprises. And there were other measures like this. but concretely, we still don't have this action plan. We know, on the contrary, that the European Commission is elaborating a new proposal for European regulations for the European Social Fund, for instance. And we are not completely sure this is going to be positive. Why I'm saying this? Because in the previous proposal from the European Commission, already approved by the European Parliament, social economy enterprises were mentioned as a priority. And we don't know at this day, during these days, if this is going to have to be the same, because nobody could see the regulations. Even organizations like ourselves, we are members in the structural dialogue with DG Regio, with DG Employment. But in this case, they were very, very strict. The only thing we know is that there is a big change because all that is healthcare has been taken out again of the European Social Fund Plus program. You might know that in the previous proposal, the European Commission put the health program within the ESF Plus. Now it has again been taken off of the ESF Plus with approximately 10 billion euros of budget, but we don't know exactly what is going to happen. You might have seen that on 22nd of May, so approximately 5 days ago, the European Commission has been issuing new recommendations for actions for member states. I invite you to go and have a look at these recommendations for your own member states, because that will be very important. These are on the website of the European Commission, and from there you can understand what you can actually do, on what you can actually rely. For instance, one of the things that was done at the beginning of April was the possibility for member states to use the remaining budget availability from the European structural funds in order to promote coronavirus-related actions. But I would like to ask you, and you can answer later maybe, how many of you have had the possibility to benefit from this opportunity? How many managing authorities have been actually really transferring money to your organizations and not only to the public health? That was very important, obviously, but also social economic organizations have been very active during this period, as we have seen. And if I understood correctly from the presentation from Pino Rosati, this was done completely without public support. And I come to something we did, an initiative we have been taking in the very early days of this crisis. We sent to all of our members and also other organizations a survey to try to understand what was going to happen. What was like after the lockdown, what was the situation of social economy enterprises? Unexpectedly, because we were not expecting that, we had more than 100 answers. And what was very interesting out of this survey was that 47% of the organizations were not sure to be able to restart, for lacking, not really for lacking of cash flow, but for lacking of equity, of resources in order to reorganize themselves in order to restart. And the second point, very interesting for us, was also to understand that in many, many cases, social economy organizations do not know exactly to whom to ask support and to ask to participate in programs. When I say asking for support, I'm not talking about asking for subventions. This is not the point. The point is to be able to receive at least the same kind of support that capitalistic enterprises are receiving. And this is not the case for the moment, because all the regulations and all the rules introduced by member states fit very well with big enterprises. I'm from Italy, and we had a very good example in Italy. FCA, the automotive producer, has been asking for 6 billion euros of loan, and there were no problem for them. But for many small social enterprises asking for little, 30,000 euros of loans, there was no way, because the banks were not ready to do this, to provide this kind of support. We, as REF, we are also a member in a microcredit bank, and we've been using actually the microcredit bank to support with microloans, which proved to be more effective than big loans in many, many cases. And I will conclude right now. I think we have some work to do in front of us in order to pledge for social economy and social enterprise support and social economy and social enterprise role in the recovery, but we have to understand exactly what do we want. I'm sorry to be a bit provocative maybe on this with you, but my point is today is that really we are in a period of big confusion, and I think we should clarify our minds. Do we want to stay as a marginal part of the economic system, or do we want to stay as a pillar of the economic system? This is a choice we have to make, because if we decide to stay as a marginal side, then we can ask what remains out of actions to support other sectors. If we want to stay as a pillar, then we have to pledge for this action plan, but we have also to ask exactly what do we want to change. Do we want to change public procurement rules? Do we want to change bank rules? Do we want to change structural funds rules? We have to state now. We cannot wait longer, because otherwise we will do as in the past happened so many times, because I have to remind you that it's not the first time that we talk about an action plan. The first request for an action plan was done in 2000 by Jan Olsson, who is presently president of REF. And Commissioner Diamantopoulos tried to make an action plan for social economy. It was 2006, so 14 years ago. And we had to wait 14 years in order to have something more. Then we had this very, very important move that was the taking of the council conclusion in Luxembourg, thanks to Jens Nilsson. I would like to remind him, we've been talking about Osasuna. He used to be the mayor of Osasuna, and he used to be also a member of the European Parliament, who has been promoting the role of social economy from a political and policy point of view. Nowadays, and I leave you with this question, we have to ask ourselves if we want that our activity remain marginal, because we are very good, as we have been showing, to adapt to the needs of the market, or if we want to be a pillar, and then we need to have a clear policy in support of our activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luigi. We understood that the system is moving slowly, at least at European level, but we have also good news from your side that the next period, the financial period 2021-2027, will provide more financial support for us. Depends if we are able to absorb this money and if we have capacity, because there are a lot of limits. But again, we have to react immediately on the roots. So that demonstrates the social enterprise find their own way on surviving this period. I think we'll have for sure a model from Germany presented by our colleague later on, that maybe in some countries at national level, the reaction and support it's more directly than at the European level. Thank you again for your significant contribution. We understand that we have to decide now if we want to be the pillar or to stay on the margins, as you mentioned. Also, I want to mention that on 2nd June, the Social Economy Europe will have another webinar based on measures at European level. So we will invite all of you which are interested to participate to this event as well. Thank you, Luigi. Now, giving back the floor to my dearest colleague, Felicitas. She's coming back with a different computer, as I understand.
Yes, we have the problem that we are at the border of Slovenia. And as a lot of people now using digital tools, it happens often to us that we lose any connection to the rest of the world. So thank you also from my side to Luigi. In fact, I missed the beginning of your intervention, but one of the things I think it's really to be very aware of that for me, the social economy model, it's not a small sector of economy, but it should be a model of another economy more just and more equal economy, which could be adapted, defended in a large sector. So not large sector, but could be a model of another way to do economy. I know it seems sometimes a thing of volunteers, which are a little bit idealist, but I think it's not. And so we should, I wrote this action, the document towards a European action plan, and they said that social economy is a European success story. So yes, I think we are co-responsible to continue to let it be, or to let it be more a success story. Don't know if you, okay, sorry if I, okay, so the next intervention comes from Germany. It's from Professor Kohlhoff. He has been with us also in June at Trieste. And he is working a lot on entrepreneur, social economy entrepreneur models. And we asked him how to tell us a little bit how the digital tools, which are used very much in this period, what is the impact of COVID to the use of digital tools, especially in the also in the inclusion of vulnerable groups. So I will give the floor to him.
Thanks a lot, Felicitas. I'm not a representative of a social firm. I'm a professor at the Ostfalia, that's the University of Applied Science, in Wolfenbüttel, Braunschweig-Wolfenbüttel, and it's in Lower Saxony in the north of Germany. We are located in the Braunschweig area, and it's close to Wolfsburg. So it's an industrial area. Wolfsburg, it's the headquarters of Volkswagen. I'd like to present you an educational study. I made this research study in 2016 and 2017 together with Julia Hartung-Zielke and Karen Frankenstein. And we made this study for the cooperative of the workshops for people with disabilities in the north. In Germany, there are 3 corporations, 1 corporation in the north, 1 corporation in the middle, and 1 corporation in the south. And we made this study for the cooperation of workshops for people with disability in the north. So there are 83 workshops for people with disabilities, and in this 83 workshops, there are nearly 40,000 people with disabilities. And Uwe Hildner, he was responsible for the GDV Nord, and he's a responsible board member of the cooperative of the workshops for people with disabilities. So we looked for 10 institutions, and we looked for institutions in the federal states, in Brandenburg, in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, in Bremen, in Schleswig-Holstein, in Lower Saxony, and in Sachsen-Anhalt. And we looked for small, for medium, and for large organization, and for organization in rural and in urban areas. And we asked nearly 800 people with disabilities, what are your educational needs? What do you want to learn? And if you look on inclusion, it's necessary to get out what people with disabilities want to learn. And for this research, we used group discussion in form of world coffees. For the preparation, we had steering groups in this organization, and the people in the steering groups get in the situation of people with disabilities, and they try to find out from themselves what kind of education do people with disabilities want. And then we had this group discussion in form of world cafes. So what we found out, we made a content analysis of the results of the world cafes, and also content analysis of the steering groups, and what people with disabilities need, what they want to learn. They want to learn to use social networks, Facebook, YouTube, and to use the internet safely. They want to deal with money, how to deal with an ATM, how to use an ATM, for example. they are interested in social skills, how to solve a dispute. They are interested in work and education, and they are also interested in leisure and knowledge. And they are also interested in self-employment, driver license, traffic, things like that, and in health and in nutrition. So that's a study, or that's a part of the study. And we also put the study in easy language for people with disabilities. And what happens with this study? We built a research lab at the Ostfalia. And in this research lab, we had people from the cooperation of the workshop for people with disability in the north. And we had also people from the Ostfalia, and students from our faculty, and also students from the faculty for informatics. And all together, we build now nearly 200 learning units for people with disabilities. And maybe later I can start it. So what people with disability want to learn, and we constructed these working units to this different subject, to everyday life and living, food and cooking, mobility, work and education, computer and internet, social media, and to leisure and sport, social togetherness, money management, health and illness, and knowledge and law. And the cooperation of the workshop for people with disabilities put a lot of money inside. I think a few €100,000 for these videos and for this digital material. And now we translated one. It's a dating app. People with disabilities want to learn how to date a person. And if you want, we can look in this video for 2 or 3 minutes.
In this video, we learn how to approach a person that you like and arrange a date.
Not running,
Yeah,
sorry, not running.
Still have the old PDF
you have
presentation, the PowerPoint. Please close that and then share the video.
Okay, okay.
You can just close the presentation completely. Perfect, and now share the video. Start it and then share it. Best way. Is it, yeah, it's probably in the presentation, but it's not running as it should be for some reason. Do you have a separate video, just the video? I have it. If you want, I can play it. Just tell me from where to where.
Hi, I'm Lucas.
Hi, I'm Rosalie.
Welcome to Digital dabei. In this video we show you how to address a person that you like very much.
You may know this. You're insecure, you don't know if the other person also likes you, and certainly not how to address the person.
That's why we have put together a few tips and hints for you, which we will show you in this video, so that your next date will work out fine.
The question is, how do I prepare for such a meeting? Lucas, how do you do that?
It depends, but I just do things that I enjoy, like listening to good music, for example.
Right. I, for example, put on my favorite clothes and dance in front of the mirror. That just gives me a really good feeling.
That sounds great. I was wondering where I could actually meet interesting people. Rosalie, how do you do that?
I think, for instance, at the work, in my spare time, maybe even on the internet, or just on the street. What's most important is that you make eye contact. Be brave and look at the other. A smile is usually returned.
Oh, it's not that easy, isn't it?
No, certainly not. You have to wait for the right moment.
Wow, I'm always so excited and shy before I talk to someone.
Yes, of course. Everybody feels that way. Also your counterpart. Just be confident and talk to the other. What are you reading?
I'm reading a magazine about animals.
Oh, animals. I like animals.
Ah, you do?
Yes. Ask the other questions like, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? What is your favorite food? This way, you can start a conversation. Do you have a pet?
Yes, I have a dog.
A dog? Oh, how nice. What's his name?
Kylo.
Kylo? Why did you choose that name?
That's a Star Wars character.
Star Wars, right. I love Star Wars.
Really?
Yeah. You too?
Yes. I don't know many women who like Star Wars.
Well,
that's really nice.
Thanks. Pay the other a compliment. You could say, for example, I like you, you are funny, or you are looking good. I like your shirt.
Thanks. I like your smile.
Thanks. If the conversation goes well, you can suggest a date. Maybe you can have a coffee or ice cream together. You can also exchange.
Thank you very much, Professor Koloff from Westphalia University. I want to add...
I don't know if you finished. I think it was only an interruption. Did you want...
I think it's finished, yes, Professor?
No, it's not finished.
Okay.
So you see on this example, people with disabilities, they are not children. They don't want to be treated like children, and they have the same needs as other people too. And on this video and on other parts, we try to work maybe with this book with animals, or the dog is Kylo. It should be something what people with disability also understand, and where they can deal with. And after this, in this time from 2018 to 2020, Mrs. Hartmann-Zielke, she wrote her PhD, she just finished. And it's not so easy just to produce digital material for people with disabilities, because if you go into the workshops, then you see that the workshops are not ready for this kind of educational materials. And the caregivers of people with disability, they think if the people are strong, they need to be protected for digital media, or if they are weak, they can't handle it. So we tried to find out what we can do to change the cultures in the workshops of people with disabilities. And the GDB North just made a marketing study, and we think that as a result of the Corona crisis, the acceptance of digital services has increased in institutions for the disabled. And this can also be an opportunity for digital materials. And if you are interested, www.digital.de dabei. It should be quickly available, and Mr. Tito from the GDW Nord can give you information. That's now, and now we started a new project, model project for the development and implementation of digital education offers for the qualification of disabled people, and this project will end in 2 years, and I think we will find more about the organization and the change of the organization. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Professor Koloff. I just want to mention that Westphalia University is one of our close collaborators of Social Firms Europe CEFEC. And recently we submit a project under Erasmus Plus to create the CEFEC Academy together with you. Thank you for all your support, and I see there are some students also part of this this webinar, and thank you for promotion as well. We see that this difficult period limited us a lot also for the social contacts. So we try to find different possibility to interact and socialize with people, and more for people with disability, which not frequently has digital abilities. We have to say that. I'm talking about Romanian side, where we still have to work on the policy and to prioritize the accessibility for education for youngsters and children and youngsters with disability. Also, we thought that our mental health, it was affected, and for sure the Mental Health Europe, one of our professionalized member of Social Firms Europe CEFEC, will come up with reports, but they already announced us with different newsletters that the mental health in Europe, it was really affected this period. And we invite one of our experts from Romania this time, Mariana Armean, which is the program director of the S2R Foundation, clinical psychologist with more than 25 years of expertise in mental health, and certified psychotherapist by the International Society of Scheme Therapy, international trainer for specialists and practitioners in social and psychiatry work. Also, she's part accredited teacher on the Applied Science University from Dornbirn, Austria. Unfortunately, Mariana, she couldn't be with us live because she was invited for other events before we invite her, but she recorded for us a presentation. So I will ask Ionuț to run a short presentation about mental health on pandemic crisis.
My name is Mariana Armean, and I am a clinical psychologist and program director at S2R Foundation. Thank you for your invitation, and today I will share some coping strategies during the COVID-19 crisis. This is my share screen. COVID-19 has a significant impact on our lives. We are so much vulnerable. Our lives have changed during the last 2 months. We are more vulnerable socially and emotionally. Some problems associated with psychological vulnerability are anxiety, depression, burnout, low resistance to stress and frustration, insomnia, somatic problems, addictions like drugs, alcohol, and so on. The world has changed. What is different now? We start with communication. Maybe we communicate more with people outside our circle, or maybe the relationships with those around us are more tense. We communicate more online now. Our relations, we keep social distances. We no longer shake hands with each other. We no longer see with friends. Our jobs, teleworking is a part of our lives now. We work remotely, things that until recently we thought were exceptions. Now we treat them as something common, like sessions on Skype, Zoom, or other multimedia platforms. Our fears. We are afraid of the virus, we are afraid of the economic situation, and the news are always alarming. Our perspective about life, how we restart our lives after the pandemic, what is happening to us and what we have learned during this period, how can we start over? Our coping strategies. If we did not think of a situation like this until recently, now in our physical and mental baggage, we added a situation from which we will learn in the long run, namely how to cope in a pandemic period. What we learn to do now will have long-term effects on us. But what is the coping strategy? All the ways to deal with stress and difficult emotions that the human being uses. And we have negative coping strategies, which provide instant gratification or relief, but have long-term negative consequences like alcohol, drugs, overeating, avoiding anything that isn't positive, catastrophizing, isolating, overreacting to small issues, and worrying as a means of self-defense. But we also have positive coping strategies, like practicing meditation and relaxation techniques, having time for yourself, engaging in physical activity or exercise, reading, spending time with friends, finding humor, spending time on your hobbies, engaging in spirituality, sublimation. For example, in this situation, instead of arguing with those around me, I do things. I paint, I play sports, I cook and clean my house. I try to consume energy in a constructive way. And acceptance of the situation. But what is important to do in this period? In this period, the most important thing is to develop resilience. Positive coping strategies help us develop resilience, help us look at ourselves as survivors of the situation rather than as victims. It is important to know what we can do in a given situation, what is our dose of control, and where we must learn to accept, but without seeing ourselves as victims. This is where resilience begins, and it is important to use positive coping mechanisms consciously and intentionally. So, developing resilience helps us to evolve despite the crisis situation, help us get through difficult times. It helps us to have better emotional and mental health. It takes us one step closer to being happy or emotionally balanced. It helps us achieve our goals and to be more flexible and more adapted to the environment in which we operate. If you develop good resilience, here is what you can get: social support, realistic plans, a healthy self-esteem, positive adaptation strategies, good communication skills, positive emotional regulation strategies, attention and care for the body, like sleep, diet, and exercise, good contact with the body's needs and proper attention increase the level of resilience, emotional regulation strategies, like meditation and mindfulness exercises, breathing exercises, humor, ask for and accept help, contact with personal values. In the end, do not forget, maintain a good balance between personal and professional life. Thank you.
I cannot say thank you directly to Mariana because she's not with us, but definitely I transmit by unwritten emails. I recognize already some negative aspects from my life, my personal life. Even I have to confess to you, this period I work a lot, much more than a regular time. I don't know why, but for sure, because all my colleagues was remote with work at their home place, and it was much difficult to organize everything and to establish our task and the terms. And yes, it's something that we never experienced, and we did now. And I think part of us did very well but this best practice should be expressed and spread around to everybody, because maybe in some situation, for sure, it's not that easy.
Sorry, Vasi.
Yes.
I saw, if you go to the next part, I only wanted to interrupt you for a moment and to give greetings to all of you from Luigi. He had to leave us, Luigi Martignetti. And I wanted only to precise, sorry, because I haven't been with you before in this moment of his presentation, that he's the General Secretary of the European network REVS.
I did already the introduction.
Okay, yes, because he told me that you told about that he is in the Lega Coop Sociale. He is not in the Lega Coop Sociale, but he is General Secretary of the REVS network. He asked me to precise this. So I let again to you the words.
Okay, thank you very much, Felicitas. The next, we have our colleague, which supposed together with us to organize the wonderful CEFEC 34 CEFEC conference in Dortmund. But because of Corona, we had to cancel this live conference and we organize on online. But still, Klaus, it's our member of the board, he's our colleague, and we had more meetings this period than usually via online, of course. Yeah. So the next speaker, it is our colleague. He will talk about social funds for inclusion, situation of inclusive enterprise in Germany during the Corona crisis, and just few words about our colleague Klaus Meyer zu Brickwede. I still don't have problem to pronounce the last part.
Very difficult name, I know.
Yes, it's a sociologist and has been working on the last 5 years for the BAG Inclusion Firmen, the German Federal Association of Inclusive Enterprises, which represents the interest of more than 900 inclusive enterprises and over 29,000 employees. Today, he's a consultant for BAG, and Klaus has been a member of Social Firms Europe CEFEC on Executive Committee since 2017. I think to have on your shoulder 29,000 employees during this pandemic, it's really a lot of stress first. Klaus, I just give you the floor.
Yes, thanks for having me. Thank you, Vasi. Thank you, Felicitas. And thank you, Christiane. I will switch to my presentation. I hope it works out. So do you see the full screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
No, yes.
No. Not really full screen. You have
but,
to...
It's big? It's big enough?
Yeah, it's big enough,
yeah,
yes.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, we will talk about the situation of inclusive enterprise in Germany during the Corona crisis, but also we will share some best practice examples of how to cope with the crisis. First, let me introduce our organization to you. We are the Federal Association of Inclusive Enterprises in Germany and represent the interests of more than 900 inclusive enterprises and over 29,000 employees. We form a nationwide network of inclusive enterprises and advocate for the interests of people with disabilities in working life, and we are a founding member of CEFEC. What are these inclusive enterprises in Germany that we are talking about? They employ, by law, at least 30% people with disabilities and should not employ more than 50% to keep the inclusive character. They offer employment in the regular labor market, regular working contracts, tariff wages or customary wages, and they offer social insurance. So basically, they offer totally normal employment in the regular labor market in an inclusive setup. They have been active in Germany for more than 40 years and have been are highly diversified. As you can see, we are active in all industries and sectors, most notably industrial and handicraft services, catering and canteens, also restaurants, retail, gardening and landscaping, facility management. But we also have about 80 or more inclusive hotels in Germany, and some of them are also active, for example, in the IT business. So it's basically all industries, all sectors. The economic impact of the Corona pandemic, yeah, we did a survey together with our subsidiary FAF, that is a consulting company for inclusive enterprise, and also together with other partners. We did the first one in March, directly after the outbreak, and now the second one in the past 2 weeks. So we have very fresh results. About 400 companies participated. That is almost half of the companies in Germany. And it shows the following. Almost 80% of them are affected by the crisis. Almost 50% are directly affected. That means that they had to close their business or parts of their business, or they had to reduce their production and their services because of legal restrictions. And about 30% are affected indirectly. That means that the customers withdraw from orders, or supply chains were interrupted and stuff like that. I will show you a couple of other results of the survey. Revenue, about 70% of the companies estimate that the revenue will decrease by at least 20%. This includes 42% of the companies that estimate a decrease by at least 40%. Liquidity, more than 70% estimate that they will face liquidity problems this year. And just to give you a range, an imagination of the range, 35% of them expect the liquidity needs of more than 250,000 euro until the end of the year. That's a lot of money. Jobs, 70% of them estimate that jobs in their companies are at risk due to the pandemic, and 24% believe the risk is high. We did this on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 means there is no risk, 5 means the risk is high. So we combine 4 and 5, and this is 24%.
Just a moment, Klaus.
Yeah.
Klaus, a moment. I don't know these figures if you have it on your presentation, but the presentation it's frozen right now.
Oh, really?
Can
you can see nothing?
Yes, you have to put.
Okay, I will switch to PDF. What was the last slide you've seen?
Ah, okay, good. I mean, the first slide, you just get frozen on the first slide.
On the first slide?
Yes, because we thought that you presented, yeah. But
okay,
you can go to the 5th slide now, it's okay.
Okay, 1 second, sorry.
No problem. I just want to assure all the participants that the presentation will be
earlier. You should.
I thought you talk about by your mind everything. So when I see the figures, I said, oh, should be something. But anyway, all the participants will receive the whole presentation for all speakers. So we are, okay, now it's better. Yes.
Yeah, and when I switch now, you see that I'm. Wait a moment.
It's a full screen. Yes. Okay.
It's changing from slide to slide.
Yes.
Okay. So we will go to slide number 5. I was talking about liquidity, and now I'm talking about jobs. Yeah, 70% of the companies estimate that jobs in their companies are at risk due to the pandemic. 24% believe the risk is high. Insolvency, about half of them estimate that there is actually a risk of insolvency due to the pandemic, and 12% of them believe the risk is high. Again, here we combined answer 4 and 5 on a scale of 1 to 5. Okay. Last numbers from the survey. The lockdown measures have been eased here in Germany since the beginning of May. So we asked our companies about this. 70% of them say that the situation has not improved since these lockdown measures have been eased. And 6% even say that the situation for them has gotten worse. The reason is probably because the situation for restaurants, hotels, school canteens and such has not changed at all and will probably become even worse. But our companies, our companies do not only have to cope with the crisis like every other business, they additionally struggle to apply for instant loans and state grants that regular companies receive without any problem. So it's actually a double burden for our companies. And I will show you what I mean. KfW instant loans. Yeah, KfW is a German state-owned bank. It's actually the largest development bank in the entire world. It has granted instant loans in excess of about 50 billion euros so far. These loans are crucial for SME business because they don't require any risk assessment. And the loanees also don't need to provide any securities, thus instant loans. However, a lot of inclusive enterprises face problems when applying for these loans because of their non-profit stages. Let me repeat that. Non-profit companies are not regularly eligible to apply for these loans. This is a huge problem, and even today, many weeks after the outbreak, it's still not solved. Oh man, sorry. I'm always using, I have to use my mouse. Sorry. State grants. Yeah, German federal states give instant grants to businesses depending on their number of employees. That means, for example, in Berlin, you get these grants if you don't employ more than 10 people. In other states, you can employ up to 250 people and you still get them. But for our companies, even if they don't employ more than the maximum allowed, in the majority of states, they are not granted these aid. If they are linked to a larger company, that means there is a majority shareholder, which is usually some form of social organization. And in that case, they are not seen as an SME and thus not eligible to apply for these instant grants. Our survey shows that in North Rhine-Westphalia, NRW, that is Germany's most populous state, 75% of our companies can't use these state grants because of this. Again, this is a huge problem. Even today, it's not solved. Yeah, to come back to the subject of the webinar, how to cope with the crisis, we want to show you some best practice examples of how some of our companies adapted to the pandemic and adjusted their business. I differentiate here between new products, new services, and new ways. What that exactly is, you will find out. On the left side, you see a disinfection pillar, this so-called Desi2Go. One of our member companies designs this pillar and is now producing that, and it is highly successful. On the right side, you see two women producing masks. In the background, you see a couple of costumes. So this company, among a lot of other things, has a costume rental, which is now obviously not doing great. But because they work with textiles all the time, it was very natural for them to produce masks. And actually, it's very successful. We know many, or at least a couple of our member companies are doing this now. And obviously, masks will not just disappear in 2 or 3 weeks. This is something that's going to stay for months or for even years. So it's a very interesting business concept. New products. Yeah, this is a company, an industrial company, actually not far away from our office here, only 10 or 15 kilometers. They are producing face visors. You see that on the right side. Face visors and these floor stickers for social distancing on the left side, which you see in supermarkets now all the time. Again, this is something that won't just disappear. This is something that will stay, and again, it could be very successful, I think. New services. On the left side, we see a delivery service for people with disabilities, especially for people with disabilities with underlying health issues. This could be a great thing because they don't want to or can't leave the house too much. This delivery service just started, I think, in April. It's getting a little bit of funding now from a private foundation. It's been very successful, and now they are professionalizing it. So I think this is very interesting. Delivery service on the right side, you see it as well. This is an inclusive shop market, Cupmarkt CIP. That is a franchise. There are more than 100 of those food supermarkets in Germany. And they are also running a delivery service now. The thing is, it's actually not new. They did this before, but I read in the article that they have the demand increased by 40% since they started it again in April. So again, this could be highly successful in the future, a very interesting business concept. And then new ways. Yeah, what I mean by that is that something is already there, but it's used in a new way. On the left side, you see an inclusive hotel in Mainz, in the city of Mainz, which is in southwest Germany. Just like every other hotel in Germany, they had to close in March. And they made an agreement with the city administration to take on 30 homeless people. So I called the hotel manager 2 or 3 weeks ago and asked him about it, and it still went on. They were still there and worked very well. The hotel will reopen now, so they probably have to leave. But it was a good situation for everybody. It was a good situation for the city and for the homeless people, because a lot of services for homeless people, they had to shut down because of the pandemic. And the shelters were also overcrowded. So it was good for them, but it was also good for the hotel because they generated a completely new source of income, a new way. On the right side, we see a company that is usually operating school canteens, which are obviously closed now. And the situation is very unclear how it will go on in the future. And at least with some of their staff, they are now cooking for a food bank and have prepared already more than 1,000 meals for the food bank for people in need. And this is also funded by a private foundation. And then 2 last examples, especially restaurants and hotels were hit very hard by the crisis. And they had to look for alternatives. On the left side, we see a restaurant from Munich. The title of the article says Die Wochenkarte für die Quarantäne, the weekly menu for the quarantine. So that means they also had a delivery service. It worked out pretty well. They did it especially for elderly people. And on the right side, we have a hotel in northern Germany. It says hotel office instead of home office. A lot of offices had to close because of the pandemic, and people had to work from home. But when you have the entire family home, the kids are not in school, it can be very difficult. So what they offered was to work actually from the hotel instead from home. A lot of hotels did this, but now they are reopening, so it might disappear again. But it was also, I think, a good solution, to do something different. Yeah, that's actually the end of my small presentation. Thanks for your attention. If you have any questions, you can ask now or just send us a mail. Thanks for the opportunity, Vasi, and yeah, it was great fun. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Klaus. It was really impressive, at least the models, what you presented on the end. And I calculate that there are about 11 models presenting, including the Pinot model as well, of surviving this period, but also the figures that you present. We know from the mass media that Germany cope very well with coronavirus, and thanks to the health system. But look at on the roots, some of social enterprises cope very well with their own innovation, with their own activities, and with their own solutions. Because even in Germany, the state support coming slowly, and it's not really clear and not accessible for all social enterprise. And it's very important to give this model and spread that it's possible to do it if you are really open and independent. I'm not going back to the question that we have during our executive, why inclusive enterprise and not social enterprise in Germany. I know you have changed the legislation and so on, but really we appreciate your presentation very much. I want to give the floor to our dearest president, Christiane Herrlin, which is very much connected to PEC-IF, because she's representing and she used to work for this umbrella organization, and she's still very active there. So our president will make a presentation about more direct, because she's well experienced and what's going on social enterprise, not from now, from many years. And just few words about Christiane. It's an excellent expert on occupational therapy and vocational rehabilitation, and has always been engaged in creating work opportunities for psychiatrically disabled in Germany, UK, Ukraine, and other parts of Europe and the world, even in Africa. She's right now in Köln, Germany. Dear Christiane, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Thank you very much, Vasi, for your kind words. I mean, I've been listening to all these fascinating presentations, and of course, I've been trying to make a few notes and see what are the conclusions. You know, it is offhand at the moment, and I don't really know. I mean, the first thing is to do the webinar at all. I think this is encouraging. It's as encouraging as our online conference, which we did instead of our real conference in Dortmund. You know, I think somehow it gets people together, people to think, people to communicate. And I think that's perhaps one of the real benefits. And I would like to suggest that we go on with other webinars, and I think one listens more carefully, one wants to listen, and not go in and out big rooms like we do when we are there, you know, and say, oh, let's have a coffee. It's getting a bit exhausting. I mean, I've been listening very carefully, and I think what came out of the talks and the PowerPoints is that I think it was Luigi or Pino who said global, social, and local. You know, and I think the benefit of many social firms is to be locally in a network and really know what is going on. And I think the examples which Klaus just gave, and also at the very beginning with Pino, shows that you just sort of try to do something locally and see what are the needs, you know. And this is an advantage to many bigger firms which operate internationally and have no idea what local needs are. So I think this comes out, and I think before you sort of have enormous big plans and say we don't have support and where do we apply for money and so on, you just sort of try to see local needs. I think this is very encouraging. I think we should register more of that in our member countries and collect all these creative things, because this is what is the chance of the corona, I think, you know, with these services, which I think Klaus put it very well, that there are products, services, and new ways, you know, to pay attention. So this is one of my encouraging things. Well, then there was Luigi, who was skeptical about EU, and I think one can be skeptical. And if we wait for EU, I think this has never been the thing for CEFEC. You know, I think CEFEC has had lots of ups and downs in all these years. And there were times when EU had marvelous big programs. We remember 20 years ago, Horizon and Marienthal, many big and it was the benefit for the social firms. But then some of these projects closed down, and there wasn't money from the EU very much. And I've always said, you know, the creativity, the local creativity and the networking, and also what Felicitas says, the belief that there can be an alternative economy. We are not just a little annex to the big economy, but there can be an alternative, and we believe in it. And I think this has shown at the end, you know, the very good examples that we have a benefit, we have an advantage by being locally in local networks. I think this is the real chance of social firms and also of small firms. So I'm reminded that we had all these waves and ups and downs. We never had corona during our CEFEC time. I must say it's a real challenge, and I'm very sad and sorry that we will have social firms closing down. I think we will have to face that. But on the other hand, we have to sort of be a big lobby, maybe, for just showing, making obvious what the creativity is. I think this is as important as having a big lobby for pushing the EU to do more for action plans and do more for acceptance of the social economy. These might be two legs we can sort of build on in the near future. And I think when we evaluate the webinar, I think there will be many more other aspects, like when Professor Korov sort of made this thing on social competence, and then when also the lady, what was her name, who was not present, but who made this, Mariana, reminded us of that there are inner strengths. There is really psychological inner strength. And just to mention, CEFEC, we issued a little time ago a crisis coping handout. And maybe, Vasi, we should perhaps, to the people who are connected now, sort of perhaps forward it to them. And it does start with a a minute of silence and meditation and finding resilience and inner strength. And I myself believe in that very much, that out of that inner strength, creativity and outer activities will come. And this is my message and my wish to all of us, and my thanks to Vasi and Felicitas. I think you've done a really good job. I think it's very encouraging, this first webinar, and let's go on along this line. Many thanks, and also to Klaus, my colleague. I think we will have a telephone call or something and see what comes out for Germany as well. I might mention that Germany is seen as the ones who always sort of cope well, who have a lot of money, who dominate other countries in Europe. We've got this special topic at the moment with saving Lufthansa and all the business with a lot of money we might have. But I think this is also a danger. And today we saw that money is one thing, but the creativity and the local networking and the encouragement and the inner strength, I think, is as important. And I think many Germans might take that as an advice as well. So many thanks.
Thank you very much, Christiane. Okay. Greetings to Arne as well. I think he's around there.
He's around, my partner with our founding CEFEC experience. Yeah, thank you.
As you already mentioned, Christiane, we are here since 1987, and every year we try to keep together at least 2 or 3 days in different countries and support our members across Europe. I just launched the invitation. We are planning, but we don't know if it will be possible. Mm-hmm. But we are optimistic that next year we're going to organize our 35th conference in Brussels. We are ready on these days to use the technology facilities in order to support our network movement, to transfer of best practices, and to cooperate directly when it's possible. This year, it's a special year that will make us to reflect more about our work. And as you mentioned, the creativity and digitalization will be part of our daily work in the future for sure. I will ask you, Nuts, to show us a little bit our membership. Said that CEFEC is present right now in 21 EU countries, and not only EU, also in Japan. Okay, can you share? Okay, we have over than 50 members. Right now we have 53 members, and our as far we know, our direct
not working yet, Vasi. Yes. Is it only with me not working? There's a big display of many things, but no picture. Is it only me?
I think we will fix this because we have our support. Can you?
I can see you and your colleague.
Okay.
Yeah, just a second. Another one of our participants accidentally shared their screen, and that's why it wasn't working.
Okay, now it's okay. You can.
Yeah,
see?
That's better, much better. Yeah.
Perfect. So we are right now 50 members, and in fact we are 53 members. This was the situation from. Okay, what's happened? Okay, the situation from March, but in the between we have 3 more members. So we are present in 21 countries, including Japan. Of course, we have a lot of new people on this webinar. That means our events, it's really attractive, let's say, and for interest for many other specialists. And for those who are interested, they can join our socialfirmseurope.eu website in order to see about membership and other news. We can take some questions if somebody has courage to put directly live. We have some questions on the chat, but we were able to answer on the meantime. More of them were technical questions. Contact details for the speakers, of course, presentation that I mentioned, everybody will receive. we record this event. That means will be available on Facebook and also on YouTube, and all the event will be there. And I don't know if somebody wants to address direct questions. Now is the time. They just have to unmute and put the question to the speakers or to us. Okay. Anyway, we keep the time. We are still because we start 5 minutes later. Yeah, we are now. It's 3. The German time I'm talking about 3:32 minutes. That means in 3 minutes we can close. It was fabulous that from 62 registered people, once we had 53 online with us. Right now we have 43 participants. They are still present, which is impressive number. As I talked with Tudor before, usually on these events, a little bit half of them will be participating directly, but it looks that the hours it was good, and also the topic. Also, we have more than 40 views on Facebook, which is really good. I want to say thank you to Alina Bârsan, to our technical secretary, for preparation, agenda, and all these emails. Thank you again to Tudor Mihai from Innovating Society. He promised that he will become a member. He's very active. Also, he supports our project with Australia University. Thank you to Ionuț and Claudiu, my technical staff here, to support with all these technical arrangements and for the backup. Of course, thank you to Felicitas, our development manager, and to Cristiane, our president. Thank you to all of you for the participation. We are looking to see all of you again, maybe in the near future. For sure, we'll come up with another webinar, maybe with more best practice. This is our wish, to share our best practices and how the social enterprise is cooperating among our members. Thank you to be part of this movement and solidarity with social economy movement in Europe. All, it should be fine.